All it takes is one act of defiance to start a revolution, and damn it, I'm with Shirley. My name is
Juliette Nichols.
That scene was so cool, it made me almost forget that no, we don't want revolution. We know what happens when you go outside. And we're gonna break it all down in this video because a lot happened this episode. So guys, but with that being said, let's dive into the breakdown. The episode starts off with Bernard freaking out at the footage he's seeing from Juliette's camera. He's seeing everything she saw in the first episode, the thousands of dead bodies from the other silo, essentially confirming his worst fears. It also makes you wonder just how advanced the silo technology is, because not only is the server room voice controlled, Bernard has footage from Juliette's camera, and Juliette is not only outside the silo, she's all the way in another silo. So it shows that technology is advanced enough where they can at least communicate or send signals as far as one silo away, hinting even more at the fact that they may be able to connect the silos later on. What makes this scene even more interesting is the book that Bernard's reading from, the quote-unquote Order. And this book is very distinct from the other book that everyone else in the silo uses called The Pact, where it looks like to me the Pact is for everybody else, but this specific book, the Order, is meant for the leader of the silo, which is why only Bernard has access to it in the server room, and it outlines everything that the leader should do to control the silo. And in this case, it even has the guide to what you should do should someone not clean, and that's prepare for war. Which made me think about the guy at the end of the first episode. Not only did we get to see what inside of that server room that he's hiding in looks like because of Bernard, but we also get some motivation as to why he's inside that room. Maybe in the Order there's something that says if you're losing the revolution, make sure to lock yourself in here as no one can get in, and you're safe and you can preserve the way of the silo, even if there's just one survivor. If you guys remember the first episode, there was a revolution in the other silo, which caused everyone to go outside and die, but not before the people from the down deep rose up to go to war with the people from the upper levels. So what if somebody from the other silo did not clean it and that's what caused that revolution? And now we're seeing it happen in real time with our silo, silo number 18. By Juliette not cleaning, we see that it starts to spark rebellion in the silo because other people are curious. They want to know, where did she go? Is it safe to go outside? Why can't they go outside? And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, why haven't you yet? Because all of that leads to revolution in the silo. And poor Hank, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, having to police the silo as the sheriff, but also having to look out for his friends in the same breath. But the revolution will not be stopped because we as humans are not meant to live in silos. We're not meant to live underground. So if we're stuck down there because we can't go outside, we'll do it. But now that we know that somebody else went out there, and they're probably out there thriving, human nature would be to want to go outside and see what's up. But the thing is, as the audience, we know the truth. You add that up with the point that Shirley is actively adding fuel to the fire by undermining Knox and stoking the flames of revolution. Shirley wants to shut down the generator to the silo, therefore knocking out the power to help the revolution. However, that reminds me of the flashback in the first episode. The first thing we noticed was that there was no power. So she's leading them to step one of their death. Something about Shirley this episode just, I don't know, it just rubs me like, girl, outside is dangerous. If they go outside, they're dead. Juliette knows the truth and Bernard knows it. But now at this point, no one's gonna believe him, which is why the silo's starting to erupt in riots. And the main figure of the riots is Shirley, Juliette's best friend. It's not lost on me that in the first episode, while Juliette was exploring the silo by herself, all her flashbacks focused on her relationship with Shirley, and now Shirley's taking up the cause in Juliette's name, and it's putting her in direct opposition to Knox. Remember in the first season, Knox was the one who turned Juliette into judicial in order to stop a war from happening, and Shirley holds that against him. But if we're being fair to Knox, he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's pretty much responsible for everyone in the down deep, but not just them. Because he runs the generators, he's responsible for the entire silo. But at the same time, Juliette, Shirley, all of them are best friends. They grew up together and they had a certain bond with one another. But Shirley and Knox's methodology are completely different from each other, and it really took Walker hosing down the crowd to stop the rioting from exploding. But I can't help but wondering if that's also foreshadowing from when the riots get bigger. Just because this gives me 1960s civil rights vibes, when black people were protesting for equal rights and questioning the government, hoses were used to control the crowds. So while I know Walker's on their side, I can't help but think this is going to come back up again, not only because of the civil rights protest, but because I feel like water plays such a big theme in the world of Silo. We know in the silo that Juliette is in is already flooded by water. Could them using hoses and hosing each other down also be another way to cause the water levels to rise? Especially since I feel like both sides are going to be aggressively going against one another. Mainly because of the two people spearheading both sides. With the rebels, we have Shirley, who's hot-headed and can't wait to go in. But on the side of Judicial, we have Sims, and we know Sims' methods are brutal. Not only are they brutal, Sims also now has direct control of the sheriff department, superseding Billings. I can't even begin to imagine Sims having that power over the silo. just because of how brutal he is. And you can see Billings start to lose faith in him, especially when Billings is talking about what happened with Juliette. Remember back in season 1 when Billings was carrying Juliette, she was adamant that she did not want to go outside. But Bernard and Sim's story are eerily similar, but it just doesn't quite line up with what they've been telling Billings. And it's not lost on me that while Sims is lying to Billings, Bernard is also lying to Judge Meadows. The thing is, Sims doesn't know that Bernard knows about the outside world. Back in episode 9 of season 1, where Billings found the Georgia guidebook, he burned the book, but he kept a page to himself, showing that he has inclinations towards rebellion, especially as he's seeing how everyone in power isn't following the pact. What he doesn't know is the pact is there to just pacify everybody else, and the real book of power is the book of order that Bernard has. But I could see Billings switching to the side of the rebels and leading the revolution, similar to how in the flashback in the first episode, that sheriff led the revolution against the uppers. If Billings loses faith in the system completely, I can see him switching sides and aligning with the rebels and helping Shirley lead that revolution, which is why Knox had to go down to recycling and make sure that no one gets weapons. He can already feel the tension bubbling, and that's what I meant when I was talking about Knox earlier. He has a duty to keep everyone alive. And I think that's one of the fundamental problems with the silo is the fact that you have to be so secretive. You have someone like Knox who's clearly on the side of the system, but he's kept in the dark. You have someone like Sims who wants to know what's going on and he's kept in the dark. Bernard only trusts one person, and that's Judge Meadows. And throughout the episode, we see how Bernard is desperately trying to get her on his side. But we also see the effects of Juliette not cleaning isn't limited only to the people in the down deep of the silo, but it also sparks something in Judge Meadows, which caused her to give up drinking. After 25 years, we get a little history, but it's still vague. Something happened 25 years ago while she was Bernard's shadow, which caused her to start drinking and want to escape this life. I think going into the server room, and if you read through the order, is going to open up your eyes to some of the dark secrets of the silo. And I think ever since then, she couldn't handle it, and that's why she started drinking. So when Juliette didn't clean, it gave her hope that there may be something out there. So I think that Judge Meadows, the risk of going outside and finding out what's out there outweighs the rewards of whatever it is to be the leader of the silo, because we're seeing slowly what it's doing to Bernard. In the first season, it was all about keeping order for the sake of order, but as it went on, and now in this season, he had Walker and McLean arrested, and while they were in their jail cell, he spied on them to learn the secrets of the tape. Then he used that to take credit for Juliette's survival, but at the same time, he planted people in the crowd to heckle him and fake start a rebellion, which shows you that having absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the fact that he's the only one with access to the order shows that he has absolute power. What he didn't anticipate was for Shirley to be down there and to really ignite the rebellion in Juliette's name. It added more people to Shirley's rebellion, and you start to see signs of the revolution pop up throughout the silo with people graffitiing the initials JL on the wall. JL standing for Juliette Lives. You even saw that when Knox had Cooper follow Shirley. Instead of spying on Shirley, Cooper decides to join the rebellion as well. Even Walker, who was initially against the rebellion, realized that Bernard is hiding something, they're lying, and she wants to find out the truth, and you start to see the graffiti everywhere. While it's empowering, we know the end results of what happens if they succeed. They're all gonna die just like in the other silo. So my question to you guys is, do you think the rebellion will succeed, or can Judge Meadows and Bernard control the silo? But better yet, will Juliette reach out to the people of the silo to stop them from coming outside? Because if Bernard's cameras are able to follow her all the way to the other silo, Juliette is smart. She may be able to reverse engineer it and contact her silo, potentially saving everyone's life. But that's my thoughts on it, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, peace.